models keep getting smarter, but most of us are still talking to them the same way we did 2 years ago. Like an inexperienced intern, we have to micromanage, spelling out every step, adding one more rule just to be safe. But here's the problem. With the newest models, all that extra instruction doesn't just waste your time. It can actually make your output worse. OpenAI and Anthropic both just released their new guidance on how to talk to their newest models, and I read through those dense documents so you don't have to. And what stood out is that a lot of what we were all taught to do is now the thing working against you. So in this video, we're going to cover the 5 parts of a prompt that still matter, the 5 habits you need to break, and by the end, you'll know exactly how to talk to these newest models to get better results, whether you're using ChatGPT or Claude. So let's go. So what changed? The newest guidance from both Anthropic and OpenAI points in the same direction, and it's not the direction anyone expected. Leaner prompts can perform as well or better than the super long prompts we've all been writing. Here's the number that got my attention. Anthropic, for their own coding product, deleted over 80% of its system prompt, the standing instructions the product runs on, and they reported no measurable loss on their coding evaluations. 2 things made that possible. Some of those instructions just became unnecessary because the newer models reason better and understand your intent better than the ones we all learned to prompt. And the rest wasn't junk at all. It was context the model genuinely needed, and it just got relocated. And we're going to talk about where in a minute. But that's a signal for the rest of us. When you pack every rule and detail you can think of into your prompt, you're giving the model more instructions to reconcile instead of more room to reason. Now, a year ago, if I was building a client proposal, let's say for a brand and growth consultancy firm called Relay Studio, putting together a proposal for a travel accessory brand called Moro Goods, my prompt would have looked something like this. Lots of rules, tons of context up front, a role assigned to it, and a pile of examples attached. But we're about to build the new version of this prompt that's optimized to give you better output with the most powerful ChatGPT and Claude models. Now, there's 5 parts that still matter when it comes to your prompts. The task, aka the job that you needed to do, the context, what good looks like, the format of the output, and the boundaries. Now, if that list sounds familiar, good, it should. Those are the same 5 things a prompt has always needed. But what's changed is what goes in each one. Because for most of these, the advice we've all been following is now the thing making your outputs worse. So we're going to walk through what habits change, things you're probably still doing, in each of the 5 parts of the prompt framework while rebuilding the client proposal prompt. We'll write the whole thing first and then run it in ChatGPT Work and Claude. Let's start with the first part of the prompt, your task. Some of the industry leaders used to recommend taking a more iterative approach to prompting, handing the model one bite at a time because that's what the models could handle. But the advice from Anthropic, even for their hardest coding tasks, is to give the model the complete task upfront and let it run. And OpenAI says its newest models are better at understanding your intent, but you still give it the goal and what success actually looks like. So habit number 1 that we need to break is to stop giving the AI your tasks in pieces and give it the full job upfront, with a goal and what success looks like. So that's part 1, the job, the whole assignment in 1 or 2 sentences. So for our client proposal prompt, we can say something like create a proposal for Moro Goods, for Relay Studio leadership, diagnose the client's core problem for the discovery call, and recommend the smallest engagement that solves it. And notice what's not in here. I haven't assigned it a role. One thing I've noticed with these newer models is that they take your instructions much more literally. So an unnecessary role can become one more constraint. I personally don't automatically assign a big persona anymore, and I haven't seen the quality of my results drop. My rule of thumb is this: use a role only when it would actually change how the work gets done, when it defines a real job, scope, or tone. This might make sense to do if you were creating a system prompt for a project, for example. What matters more in this example is the perspective that we want. Recommend the smallest engagement that solves the real problem, so that the AI doesn't try to add a whole bunch of unnecessary services to the proposal that the client doesn't need. Now, the second part of the prompt is the context. We know that the new habit we need to develop is to give the AI the full task up front, but not everything you need to know up front. The old habit of prompting was basically putting everything you knew right into your prompt up front, and that's how the prompts would quickly get really long and clunky. Not to mention, you'd also have to keep repasting everything every time you did a task. But now the new guidance is that the prompt doesn't need to hold all of that information. It needs to point the model to the right information. And that context should now have a different home. So the second habit we need to break is pasting everything and the kitchen sink into our prompts. The other shift here is that we should only introduce the context into our prompts as it becomes relevant for the specific task that we're trying to do. This is exactly how Anthropic restructured their own product, by the way. They didn't just delete the instructions, they rehomed them. So where does all that context go? Anthropic's guidance is to put information in places where the model can load it when it's relevant. Persistent instructions, skills, memory, tools, and reference files. For the workflow I'm showing you, I've simplified that into 3 main homes: projects, project folders, the ones on your computer, and skills. Now think of the project as the home for stable information that the model is likely to need, no matter which client you're working on. So to help with our proposal, I'll open up a project inside of ChatGPT Work and add the services for Relay Studios, the pricing, our positioning, some case studies, and one past proposal that shows what good looks like, our proposal template. You set this up once and every job you run after that already knows it. Next, the project folders. This is where the work actually happens. These are the folders that sit on your computer that Claude Cowork or ChatGPT Work works out of. So we can create a folder on our computer and add our discovery call transcript with our client, moral goods, the client background, and this is where the finished proposal is going to also be going when it's built. Everything in here is specific to one client and gets swapped out for the next one. So I'm going to be pointing the AI to this folder as part of our prompt later on. And the third place for our context is skills. The project and the folder hold what the model needs to know. The skill holds what it needs to do. Skills are basically like an instruction manual telling the AI to complete a specific repeatable task the same way every time. And they only get pulled in when they're actually relevant. So if you like the idea of turning the work you repeat into a skill, but you'd rather not build all of them from scratch, then I suggest you take a look at this free guide that I partnered with HubSpot to create called 11 Ready to Install AI Skills for Knowledge Workers. I'll link it in the description box below. Because once these are set up, you stop managing AI and start delegating to it. This guide includes 11 practical skills like a meeting prep skill that pulls together your CRM notes, past emails, and company context into a one-page brief before you walk into any call, alongside inbox triage, weekly business reviews, content repurposing, decision-making, and more. Each one explains when to use it and gives you a copy and paste build prompt that you can use inside of Claude, ChatGPT Work, or Codex. My favorite part is the weekly business review skill. It gives you the wins, what's stalled, where the money is, and your top 3 priorities for next week. Check out my free guide using the link in the description, and thanks to HubSpot for sponsoring this video. All right, back to it. So I've built a brand skill off camera for Relay Studio so that the AI will understand the brand vibe that it needs to use when creating this proposal. So now I'm going to show you how we're actually going to start pulling in all these different contexts that we have right inside our prompt in ChatGPT Work. So I'm going to create a new chat within the Relay Studio project. Then I'm going to add the moral goods folder that we created to our prompt as well. Now I'm just going to paste in the first part of our prompt, which is the task that we're giving it, the first part that we talked about. And then we're going to add 2 sentences to our prompt to point it at the context that we want it to use. Now I'm asking it to use the files that we attached in the project for Relay Studios and the brand skill for voice and design that we created. Now to invoke the skill for Relay Studio, all we have to do is just put the @ symbol and then type in Relay Studio and you'll see it pop up. And the last part is just about the moral goods folder that all facts come from there and asking it to save the proposal in that folder. Now you can see that this is a much leaner prompt. A couple of sentences pointing at everything we just set up instead of pasting in all of it. Now this actually overlaps a bit with the next part of the prompt, which is where we tell the AI what good looks like. So let's talk about that. This is the part of the prompt where you give the AI instructions on how you want something to look and feel and what the standard of excellence is. Now we talked about where the 3 places that context can live, and the skill that I created is going to make sure that the AI understands the brand voice and vibe of Relay Studios, and the proposal template that we want this to follow already lives in our project, so we simply just point the AI towards those things. And that's already incorporated in the prompt. So it knows to follow the same template for this proposal. But what's the standard of excellence? The old habit used to be to tell the AI to double check everything. Review your work, verify every claim, check it twice before you answer. But now for Claude Opus 5, Anthropic's guidance is that it verifies its own work as it goes, and that adding those instructions causes wasted overchecking and no quality gain. What replaces it is the part that most people never write at all. So instead of saying check your work, say what has to be proven. Here are some easy swaps that you can make to tell the AI what excellence looks like. Instead of saying double check your facts, say cite a source for every claim I could look up and link it. So now you can actually double check everything yourself. Instead of saying be accurate, you can say something like, separate what you confirmed from what you concluded. This forces it to actually come clean about what it confirmed versus what it might have come up with on its own. Instead of saying don't make things up, you can say flag anything you couldn't verify. Same intent, but now the model actually has somewhere to put uncertainty. Without that instruction, the AI feels obligated to produce a clean answer, and the guesses just blend right in. Instead of saying use good judgment, say something like list the assumptions you made and why. This gives you somewhat of an audit trail so that it can show you how it came up with its response. And instead of saying follow our style, you can say match the attached example's tone and structure. Point it at a checkable standard instead of describing a quality. So for our proposal, here is what that looks like. I'm just going to add a sentence to our prompt saying here to separate confirmed facts from your interpretation, quote the client for client facts, and flag anything unverified, but also to match the styling of the template so that it understands exactly what we're looking for. Now, the next part of the prompt is the format and length. Let's talk about the length part first because this is what's changed with Anthropic and OpenAI's newest models. Now, normally we think of the length as just the length of the deliverable that you want, but in this case, the new guidance from Anthropic is about the length of the response as well. Anthropic says the newest Claude answers longer than the models before it, and OpenAI says the newest model is more concise than the one before, opposite directions. So Anthropic suggests that if you want a shorter response, ask for one explicitly in your prompt. We used to say keep it concise and hope for the best, but if you do that in the GPT 5.6 model, you might end up with a response that's too brief. What's consistent across the guidance for either of the models is to be more explicit about what you want in your responses. So if you're using a model that gives longer responses, you could say something like, reply to me in 3 bullets max. Or if you want to control the length of the document it generates, you could say, match the document's length to what the job needs. Cover the substance, don't pad with filler sections. Now, if the model tends to give shorter responses, you could say something like, for each option, include the cost, the timeline, and the trade-off. So you're telling it exactly what you want in its response. Quick thing I wanted to point out is that some people might think about reducing the thinking effort as a way to reduce the length of the responses. But the guidance is that the effort setting controls how much the model thinks, not how much it says. And lowering the effort can reduce the thinking volume without reliably shortening the responses. Now I'm going to add a quick note in our prompt for the proposal to include the same sections as what's in our proposal template we gave it. Now let's talk about the format. The amazing thing about these tools is that the agentic capabilities now mean that you're getting finished work right inside of Claude and ChatGPT using Cowork, Work, Claude Code, Codex, etc. So now your prompt should be specifying what file types that you want it to generate. Do you want a Word document, a PDF, an Excel, a PowerPoint? For our proposal, I want a PDF document, so I've specified that right in the starting line of the sentence. All right, now let's move on to the last part of our prompt. And this one probably has the biggest habit we need to break. Part 5 are the boundaries or the rules of your prompt. Now, with the old ways of prompting, the tendency was to add a new rule for every bad output you've ever gotten. Be thorough, stay professional, don't speculate. Half a dozen rules in there, and each one felt responsible at the time. But here's the reversal. With these models, many of those rules cost you more than they protect you. And the guidance on how to use these new models is essentially not to overdo it on the rules and don't repeat yourself. The other thing I would recommend against doing in your prompt is having very absolute language like always and never unless it has to be there, because that can definitely impact your results as well. So use hard rules for the things that truly aren't flexible. For example, pricing comes from this approved sheet. Anonymize the case studies when referencing them in this report. Those are real boundaries. But things like be thorough, stay professional, always err on the side of caution, they don't give the model anything concrete to act on, but they just narrow it. So instead, a better framing would be something like this. Make the routine calls yourself. Ask first if the request could reasonably mean 2 different things and they lead to different work. That way you're allowing the model to take the lead on the execution of the task, but still putting some boundaries in place as to when it needs to check in with you before it goes completely off track. So I'm going to add the boundaries for our proposal right into our prompt right now. This is the difference between delegating and micromanaging. Autonomy inside of the fence, but rules only when it absolutely needs to be there. All right, so here's our finished prompt. Remember how much longer the older version was? Now we're actually going to run this and see what we get. I'm going to use the GPT 5.6 Soul model on high effort and look at what it generated. A really nice looking proposal. It followed the brand guidelines we gave it and the proposal template as well. It also incorporated the client's own words from the transcript we gave it coming from the project folder and all the relevant details about Relay Studio and Moral Goods as well. And when you read the actual document, it's really well thought out actually. And it pulled in some details I might not have caught if I was doing this manually. Overall, it followed my instructions within the prompt really well. Now, I actually went through the exact same setup inside of Claude as well. I pointed it at the same project folder on my computer. I created a project within Claude, a skill for branding for Relay Studio, and gave it the exact same prompt. And I used the Opus 5 model to complete the proposal. And again, we end up with a really nice proposal. The only issue is the fact that Claude doesn't have an image generation model, so we have basically placeholder blocks as to where the images would go. But if you had a connector inside of Claude that gave you access to an image generation model, then you could actually do this right inside of Claude, like Higgsfield, for example. But other than that, it's got all the important ingredients in there and included the relevant details from the context we pointed it at. And it actually came to the same conclusion as the other proposal in terms of which package it recommends for the client. So that's a good sign. The models may change, but the fundamentals still transfer between them. The thing I want you to take away from this is that we're not just prompting anymore. We're actually creating a system around it. This is how your actual prompts end up much stronger, more streamlined, and get you better results. Now here's my favorite part of this entire workflow. Relay Studio doesn't have to rebuild this process for the next client's proposal. What we can do now is actually save this as a client proposal skill so that I can build it the same way every time. All that we need to change would be the project folder on your computer. We'd need to create a new one for a new client and put their relevant details in there and work out of that one, but everything else could remain the same. So now I can start a new chat within the Relay Studio project, point it at a different client's folder, and just say, use the Relay proposal skill with the new folder. And there you go, same exact process. The project stays, the skill stays, the only thing is the folder changes. You can do this exact same process for slide decks, reports, whatever the situation calls for. The 5-part structure doesn't change, you just change the finish line. Because one good prompt is useful, but a process you never have to rebuild, that's the win. So here's where we landed. The models grew up, and your prompts can too. The key theme with the most updated guidance is that we're really just removing instructions that don't help and putting useful context where the models can find it. You shouldn't need one prompting language for Claude and another for ChatGPT. The tools still have their differences, but this structure gives both of them what they need. So here's one thing I want you to do this week. Pick the one job you keep rebuilding for AI, just one. Then move the reusable knowledge and the repeatable process into their proper homes. And use the 5 parts we talked about today. And yes, it's a little bit more setup initially, but you're going to feel the difference the next time that job comes around. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel to reach more people that this could help. And if you want to learn more about how to get the best out of your AI tools, then check out this next video right here.